motions of the sun. Now, it's very evident that all the ancient cultures around the world began with observing the moon. You got to figure that's the easiest thing to observe, right? The moon. You can sit and watch the moon all night, where it comes up, where it goes down. Unless you got shades back in the day, it's hard to watch the sun, right? So, indicating that you're keeping track of the motion of the sun automatically indicates that you're keeping track of the motion of the moon. And last year, what I talked about was the two things you would need to know in order to be able to predict a lunar or a solar eclipse are what's called the lunar nodes. They're the 2 points in the sky where the paths of the sun and the moon cross. Okay? And if you know those 2 points, and if you know when there's going to be a full moon or a new moon, and if that's going to be close to either of those points, you got a very good probability of being able to tell when there's going to be a full or a solar or lunar eclipse. In other words, if you know the point in the sky where the path of the sun and the path of the moon are going to cross, and you know that the phase of the moon at that time is going to be a full moon, then it's a pretty good chance that you're going to have a solar eclipse. And then on the other hand, if you know a point where the sun and the moon's paths cross, and it just so happens that there's going to be a new moon close to that point, then you got a good probability that there's going to be a lunar eclipse. So I talked about that, but I want to get into my big announcement, which is going to go over into astrology. So I'm going to go to Stellarium. Actually, first thing I want to do, this is a PowerPoint presentation that I gave to a mother-daughters organization group about 3 years ago. And for those of you listening, it's called Natural Physics. I better take another sip. Natural Physics Global Outreach presents An Evening with the Constellations of the Zodiac. I'm going to kind of jump around in this because there's parts of it that pertain to what I want to talk about. Okay, I'm going to go to the very last page. Okay, very last page. Now, well, actually, let me start with explaining what the zodiac is. That would be a good thing to do. Okay, so as the Earth rotates around the sun, there's different constellations that come into view from the Earth as it goes around this circle. Okay? And from ancient times, everybody, I mean, we're talking thousands of years ago, different cultures started seeing in the different groups of stars different things. Western civilization, Africa, Asia, Central America, excuse me. But they all saw familiar objects in the group of stars that they would see in the space of a year, right? As the Earth rotates around the sun. So different cultures named these groups of stars. And you're familiar with the 12 constellations that make up our zodiac. But everybody, astronomy and astrology, who can say who's the oldest? What's the oldest? Okay? Because you got to figure when whoever it was that aligned those two spheres at Finca 6, they wanted to know whether it was the Boruca or the civilization or culture that preceded the Boruca or preceded that culture. Who knows how far, how thousands of years it goes back? These spheres go back. But somebody wanted to know when spring started. Somebody wanted to know when the sun came up on the spring equinox that it was springtime. And that's why those two spheres are aligned the way they are. Okay? Now, in order to observe the sun coming up, that means getting to your location about 2 hours or so before the sun comes up, right? So your eyes can get acclimated and ready for the sunrise. So I'm pretty sure that whoever is going to keep track of when the sun comes up is going to see if there's a particular constellation that the sun comes up in, right? It's still dark enough. You can see a constellation, and then here comes the sun. Okay, so let's see. So we're talking about the precession of the equinoxes. And all that means, everybody, is that on the spring equinox, the sun comes up in a particular constellation. The vernal equinox, the spring equinox, it moves. It's a precession, right? So there's a timetable, and I'm going to go see those of you listening, please go to this YouTube so you can see the visual or the Facebook. Uh, so see, there's another picture of how the sun coming up on the equinox. It appears in different constellations. So I'm going to go to the very last page, and this is what it shows. Um, okay, here we go. And for those of you listening, I'll read it. From 10,860 before Common Era to 8,700 before Common Era, it was the age of Leo. In other words, when the sun comes up on the spring equinox, it stayed in the constellation of Leo for around, what, 2006, 2160 years. Age of Cancer, from 8,700 before Common Era to 6,540 before Common Era, age of Cancer. 6540 before Common Era to 4380 before Common Era, age of Gemini. 4380 before Common Era to 2220 before Common Era, age of Taurus. I'm just going to say BCE. You're tired of hearing me say before Common Era. Okay, age of Aries. 2220 BCE to 60 BCE, and then age of Pisces, 60 BCE to CE 2100. Now, again, you're talking 2,160 years between when a constellation or when the sun comes up in a constellation. A stellarium that I just believe was the forerunner of the Greek civilization on the Greek mainland. The Minoan civilization worshipped the bull, the celestial bull Taurus. And it is, as I said, their civilization is thought to have begun around 3000 BCE. So perhaps they worship the celestial bull Taurus because that's when their civilization began. And even before them, the Sumerians, that civilization is recognized as the first civilization, which began around 4000 BCE. And again, there's a lot of indication from the Sumerian culture that Taurus the bull was worshipped. In fact, let me go to another. Oh, and one more thing before I leave this slide. Because the age of Leo is from 10,860 BCE to 8,700 BCE, there's some people that think that the Sphinx, because it has the body of a lion, unfortunately, the face has been damaged. But many people think, well, first of all, the age of the pyramids and the Sphinx are a lot older than had been established as being around 2500 BCE. No, 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 a lot older than that. In fact, it's been found that the Egyptian calendar was established around 4200 BCE. So, right? And in order to get a calendar, how much preceding observations had to have been made in order to get enough data, in order to accumulate enough data to have enough to put together a calendar. So the Egyptian civilization is a lot older than has been taught. Okay, so again, uh, the age of Leo being in this time range and the Sphinx being in the shape of a lion, the body of a lion, could indicate that that was telling us that that's when the Egyptian civilization started, sometime during the age of Leo, between 10,860 to 8,700 BCE. Okay, now let's go to let's go back to the zodiac. Now, um, the ancient Sumerians, by the way, who again is considered the first civilization, it's almost it's possible that they had the first zodiac and that all other zodiacs came from them. And this presentation I gave, this was their 12 constellations and the names for them. Okay, I'm not going to go through them, but those of you that are looking, you can read this and see them. They had one for each. All the 12 constellations that we had, they call them differently. And here's what they look like. Okay, there's Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, now I'm gonna go to Stellarium, and we're gonna get to my discovery. Okay, here we got Stellarium, everybody, and I've already typed into the location of Fanka 6, Farm 6, in the territory of the Boruca. So let's spin around to the east, which is where the two spheres are located. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to uh, the spring equinox of last year, of 2021. So, uh, okay. So I'm going to change 2021 and I'm going to go to March 2021. Okay. All right.
March 21st.
Oh, actually, what I want to do, I want to go a little bit before that. Uh, let's go to the 20th.
March 20th.
March 20th. Yeah, 19th. I said March 19th, 2021.
Yeah, but then
That's the day before the equinox of spring equinox of last year. And let's see what constellation Stellarium tells us that the sun came up with. Okay? So let's do that. So I'm going to go down here. Okay, and let's get it going. Again, those of you on the podcast, please check this out on YouTube. Okay, so we're going to speed it up. Okay, up. See, that's a little bit too fast. Okay. Yeah, on Stellarium, you do about 4 clicks and it's going too fast. So let me go back. Okay. So let's go. Okay. Okay, so now, okay, I'm slow it down. Okay, so it is 4:26 in the morning on March 19th. So whoever wants to see
2021 or 2022.
2021, whoever wants to see the sun come up is going to be I'm really going to trip y'all out in a minute, but just watch. This is now. So here comes, slow it down. Okay, now, oh, one thing I need to do, I'm sorry. I need to go and um okay, now we got the constellations and we got the names of the constellations. Okay, I needed to do that, everybody.
And this is a podcast, correct, honey?
This is a podcast. So those listening on Stellarium, I have put in the names of the constellations. so that we can see the constellation that the sun comes up most close to on spring equinox of last year. Okay, so here we go. All right.
Is it
Okay.
spring? Okay, because
It is
if
March
it's-
20th,
I
baby. They can't
understand.
hear.
No, but I just want to understand. Are
Okay.
we in the equinox? Is it coming up off the Caribbean from the Pacific side?
We're looking from the two spheres that are
Yeah.
oriented east and west in Palma
So
Sur.
they're coming up over the
East
Caribbean.
horizon.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay, so here we go, everybody. Okay. Okay. So here comes the sun. Okay.
From the Caribbean. Well, we're
Now there we go. So there's the sun, and we see it's by Pisces. Okay. And Aquarius is right. You see how Aquarius is right next to it. So now let's do this, everybody. Let's go back to 4000 BCE, right? That was around the time of when the age of Taurus started. So let's do that. Okay. All right. So I want to go to the date time window. This is so freaky when I first did this, everybody. So I'm going to go back to negative 4000. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, four.
Can I talk during your going back to 4,000?
If they can hear you.
I don't know if they can hear me. Oh.
So negative 4000. So now, everybody, we're gonna check. We're gonna see where the sun comes up on spring equinox 4000 BCE. Isn't that cool? Okay, check this out. All right. Okay, so okay, here we go. Okay, so all right. Okay, so yep, 4000 BCE. Okay, so let's speed it up a little bit.
And
Okay.
This is, I think, the 6.
Oh, I need to. Yeah, this is from Finca 6. This is what the Boruca or whoever it was would have been around in 4000 BCE at those two spheres looking at the sunrise on spring equinox of 4000 BCE, 6,000 years ago. Okay.
So it's rising in the Caribbean and setting in the Atlantic, which the distance between the Central Valley of the Caribbean and the Atlantic, the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, is only 85 miles.
Okay.
So if they're in Palma del Sur, they're watching it. That makes a great freaking insight, honey, that they were watching the sun rising
Okay.
on the Caribbean.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then watching it set
Okay.
on the Pacific.
True that.
And
Okay.
that's lunar.
Okay, so now we're at 5:19 a.m. So let's keep rocking and rolling with the spheres. Okay, speed it up a little bit. Okay, so the sun came up in Aries, right? 4000 BCE. You know what? For Taurus, I think I needed to go back a little bit further. Hold up, let's see. Let's see. Reset. Okay. Real quickly, I'm sorry, everybody. Let me just go back to the one slide that showed the time frame. Okay, that was the very last page.
Explain the time frame, baby.
Okay, so Taurus was from 4000. Okay, so I needed to do, and you see from this table how it showed the sun coming up in Stellarium. I set it to 4000 BCE. It showed that the sun came up in the age of Aries, right? Okay. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to Stellarium, and let's set Stellarium. Ray, I'm just gonna go a little bit over because I'm getting to my announcement. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the time. Let's set it to negative 3000 BC. Okay, 3000 BCE, and we're doing the spring equinox. We're just gonna assume that it's gonna be around the same time, even though they didn't keep track of those things back then. Okay, so now, true that. Okay, so now we're at 3000 BCE, right before the spring equinox. So let's go. Okay, we're at okay, I'm gonna speed it up. Okay, so now, okay, we're gonna speed it up. Okay, here we go. You see the constellations coming up on the horizon, looking at the east and west as the two spheres indicated at Finca 6. Okay, speed it up a little bit more. Okay, slow it down. Okay, you see Aquarius coming up. Okay,
When he speeds it up
now,
and he slows it down, he's looking at
okay,
constellations in the sky.
so now here we go, and the sun is coming up, and you see there is Taurus. So the sun in that time frame of 3000 BCE, the sun came up closest to the constellation Taurus. It had just left air. It was just left air on the way to Aries, leaving Taurus. Let's see.
Northwest.
Yeah, leaving Taurus on the way to Aries. Everybody, okay. So here comes my announcement. All right. Could I have a little bit of sip, please?
Oh, well, here's my clip.
Okay. Because, as I said, the fact that you had two spheres oriented east and west indicates, and you know what? I think I can. I think everybody gets the point. You see that every 2,160 years, the sun comes up in a different constellation. Okay, it precesses. It goes through all 12 zodiac constellations. So I'm gonna go back to camera. Okay, here we are back. Okay, babe, would you like to get on camera?
Sure.
Okay, so everybody, I believe that whether it was the Boruca or those who preceded the Boruca or those who preceded them, the two spheres that are oriented east and west not only kept track of the sun coming up on the spring equinox to let them know when it was spring and that they needed to plant their crops for survival, but I also think that they kept track of, think about it, if you're there a couple of hours ahead of sunrise to see the sun come up, you're going to start to notice whatever constellation you call it, you're going to start to notice when the sun comes up in that constellation or closest to that constellation. So I believe the Boruca, part of the forgotten knowledge, the knowledge that they have lost, that their ancestors had, was that their ancestors kept track of what age it is. And if you look at stellarium, Aquarius is right there. The sun is about to go, when it rises on the horizon in the east on spring equinox, it's about to be closest to Aquarius as opposed to Pisces. And I grew up in the 60s. There's a very classic song by the Fifth Dimension called The Age of Aquarius. And without doing too much damage, I would like to sing a few verses from that song. And those of you out there who aren't familiar with it, check it out. It's a classic, okay? This was written in the 60s, and it talks about that the age of Aquarius is coming. Okay, here we go. Take a sip. Okay, Fifth Dimension, I seriously apologize. When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. Okay, there you go. Okay, but check it out. Awesome song. Awesome song, right? And everybody, Do you remember how 10, and then we're about to close it down. 10 years ago, December 21st, 2012, because the Mayan calendar had said that it ended on December 21st, 2012. And by the way, that was winter solstice 2012, December 21st. But because the Mayan calendar ended, a lot of people thought that the end of the world was coming. But to the very contrary, everybody, a lot of civilizations, such as the Zulu, they said that no, December 21st, 2012, winter solstice 2012, would hearken in, and you know I want to use that word, would hearken in a new age of revelation and enlightenment. Let's hope that's true, okay? All right, everybody. Ray, thank you for letting me go over.
Thanks, Ray.
And I would
Love
like
my
to
husband.
say,
Mwah.
thank you, baby. Um, Bruce, thank you so much for joining us. Bruce and Mariella, they're original members of the Fat Pack. Now, Fat Pack, Fat, PHAT, stands for Physics with Attitude.
I have one last thing
Okay,
to
let
say.
me finish my little blurbage. Um, Physics with Attitude, everybody. Enjoying physics as the window into our amazing world of nature, and mathematics as the tool to open that window. So back to the Borucas or their predecessors being able to know what age of the zodiac it is. Excuse me, every 2,160 years. Again, civilizations go a lot further back than what we were taught. And I put the Boruca or their predecessors right up there with the ancient Egyptians, the Mayan, the Inca, the Aztec, the Sumerian. Because again, when you indicate a concern and a capability to keep track of the motions of the sun and the moon, that's an advanced civilization. All right? And they used nature and earth to survive, to know, and to be very close to nature. Okay, so with that, that is my discovery, everybody. I do think, and actually, let me say this. Uh, Last year, when Tears and I went down to Palma Sur, we weren't able to meet with the Borucas, but the women elders of the community have indicated that they are ready to welcome us and to talk. So now I have something to tell them, right? I have something to contribute to the conversation. And of course, I'll have to have a translator that can go from English to Spanish and Spanish to Baruca. But hey, we're a global community and we'll get it done. Okay, so
Yeah.
so we will be. I look so forward to giving a natural physics presentation to the Baduka community. Okay, baby, what did you want to say?
What I would really wanted to say, baby, is that so you were born February 1st, okay? So you're an Aquarian, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you and I'm a Gemini, May 24th, and I'm a Gemini. So you're an Aquarian, I'm a Gemini. And the fire signs and all that.
Yes.
So do you assume because you're an Aquarian, you're a water sign, or do you think maybe because I'm an air sign as a Gemini, that you could be an air sign as a Gemini and we need mental stimulation? So all of a sudden, I'm just curious. What do you think?
Well, because being an Aquarian, I naturally thought I was a water sign, and then I found out that I was an air sign.
Who'd you find that out from?
Yeah, my very, very, very loving wife.
Wait, that's not LW's never been in.
Oh,
this
SW, smart wife. Okay.
Superwoman, smart wife. Okay, so
now just don't take a little bit and just go a mile.
I'm gonna
okay?
go. So
Okay.
air sign. So figure out your sign. Figure out that you have a big closet full of extra blankets and t-shirts and sweatshirts and all kinds of things that could keep people warm. Put them in your trunk. when you're driving down the road and you kind of see someone a little bit cold, drop off something warm. That's my kind of thing.
It is the
And
holidays.
I thank my husband and Ray and Bruce and all of you listeners for putting up with. I don't want to say putting up with my husband, but however, he forgets he's on a radio show, and so he shared all the constellations and all that. But it's a great thing to see. Please look it up on YouTube, look it up on Facebook, but look my husband up because man, he's got a heart as big as a freaking planet, and we don't know how big the planet is. And I have very blessed to have coworkers that their hearts are as big as a planet that allow us for our tour duty. We're sounding mushy right now.
Oh, painfully so.
Bye.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, so I'm gonna close.
Happy
out.
holidays.
Well,
Excuse me. Merry Christmas.
So stay here for this. I'm gonna close out. So everybody, again, I have not come across anywhere in the literature that says the Borucas or their predecessors were capable of knowing what age of the zodiac we're in. So again, if you're able to keep track of what constellation the sun comes up in, and if your civilization goes back thousands of years, then you're able to know when the age of Pisces is going to end and the age of Aquarius is going to begin. And I truly believe they had that capability. And when I don't think Tears has indicated she will not be so enthusiastic to go with me this time. So I may be going solo, but when I go back down there, and it'll be for the spring equinox, right? The energy, I will be able to talk with the women elders and tell them about, I think that their ancestors knew what age of the zodiac we were in by virtue of those two spheres that are oriented east and west. And oh, isn't it lucky we still have those two that are still in their original positions? Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And please, oh, and by the way, real quickly,
thanks, Ray.
The last podcast we did was April, the Ukraine special. Well, on spring equinox and summer solstice and fall equinox, I did a little restream public announcement on YouTube and Facebook. So you can always check those out. But as far as podcasts, tune in, tune in next spring equinox, same fat time, same fat channel.